Hey there, this is Vicki Arsenault, and you're listening to another episode of Faithing Your Fears. Hey guys, so I want to tell you this story about this woman at our church. She is absolutely fabulous. She's like this light when she walks into the room. She is spunky. She's got this happy, upbeat personality. Just when you see her, you see the light of Christ in her for sure. And she is such an upbeat personality. And when she is telling a story, she makes these different facial expressions that are just unique to her. They're adorable. And what I have found is that over the past few years, the women that tend to hang around her have adopted some of those facial expressions. Now, I don't even think they realize that they've done it, but they have. Because I've known some of these other people for a long time, and I'm like, I've never seen that expression on her before. But it's cute, and it's one of those things where you're around something so much or around someone so much that you just start to adopt different traits as part of your own. This happened when I was going to school in New York as well. I was there for a couple of years, and of course, everybody knows New York, Boston, the South, Canada, like everybody has an accent that you can pretty much pick up on right away. Even here, like if you can, a Maine accent is pretty obvious to us here in New England. So anyway, I was going to school there and studying linguistics. So one of my major things was to really listen to how people speak, what their accent looks like, what sounds they're making. I mean, that's just what we studied. Well, New York is like a playground. This is fantastic. So I had this friend, actually, there was a bunch of friends that were from New York, and one of them was always saying coffee. I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. And those of us that were not from New York were just like, okay, you're going to go get your cup of coffee now. Well, the funny part is we would be teasing like that so much that after a while, we actually started to say coffee a little bit more. Not joking anymore. It just would come out and you wouldn't even realize that it was coming out. I wouldn't realize that I had adopted any of those accents until I came home. And I heard the accent from New Hampshire. And all of a sudden I was like, I didn't even know we had an accent up in New Hampshire. And so I wouldn't even hear it, except I was so immersed in the culture I was in New York that when I came home, everything just sounded different to me. And then, of course, when I was home for a while, and I wouldn't notice it anymore. And when I would go back to New York, I would all of a sudden notice it again, like the accent was so thick. There were different times, I've lived in Georgia, I've lived in Montana, Arizona, and New York, and all of the accents are so very different. Each time, though, I didn't realize it, but I was picking up on some of the accents and not really realizing it until I got home or until I spoke to somebody at home and they recognized it in me. I wouldn't hear it at all. Well, the reason that I'm telling you this is because we do become like the people that we are hanging around the most. If you are hanging around people who are happy and upbeat and they've got these qualities that you just really enjoy, you're probably going to start to take on some of those personality traits or some of those expressions or some of that accent or whatever, just like what has happened at church. On the other hand, if you're hanging around with people who are negative and complaining all the time, they're very sickly, always complaining something is wrong with them, sarcastic, as much as you might try to be the light in that area, it's very likely that some of that is going to get on you. You're going to start adopting some of those things, whether you realize it or not. So I want to encourage you to be surrounding yourself with people who are going to be helping you develop more positive attributes about yourself. So let's look quickly at Ephesians 5, verse 1. And it just says, imitate God, therefore, in everything you do, because you are his dear children. Now, little boys, they want to just follow their dad around everywhere, work on cars, work out in the garage, mow the lawn, do all the things, right? And little girls, they want to be around their moms. They want to dress the same way. They want to do their hair. And I'm not trying to stereotype. I'm just giving some examples. We want to be like our parents when we're younger. As we get older, we find different people that we admire and we like certain qualities about, and we want to adopt those kind of qualities. And what it's saying here in Ephesians is to imitate God, therefore, in everything you do. So I want to encourage all of us, including me, to really just spend a lot more time this week in the Word, looking at the words of Jesus, getting to know his personality, being obsessed with wanting to be around him and in his presence, so that his attributes can be the ones that get on us and change us and transform us. So we can take on his personality traits. Because I know we feel like, well, Jesus is God, so he's different. But Jesus was a man. He was God in the form of man. And so he had a personality. His body got tired. He cried. He was happy. He laughed. He had compassion. He had to sleep. He's a human being. And people wanted to be around him because his presence gave them hope. And they wanted to be like that. And even Paul, I think it's in 1 Corinthians, maybe 2 Corinthians, but I think first, where he's saying, be an imitator of me as I imitate Christ. He's telling people, like, he was all in for Jesus. He's sucking up all the attributes of Jesus that he can. And it's like, if you don't quite know Jesus, you probably know somebody who knows Jesus, and there are qualities about that person that you really like. Maybe they make you feel safe, and they make you feel loved. They make you feel heard. They make you feel cared about. You can laugh with them. They're not easily offended. There's just different things about people that you admire and enjoy and you want to pick up on. And those are very likely qualities that are from Jesus that are just shining through this person, that are just kind of speaking to you. So this week, as we're going on through our life, let's not forget, and I'm preaching to myself here, let's not forget to really just spend time getting to intimately know our Savior and his personality, so that as we're around that more, we start to act a lot more like him.